good morning, folks. It's Westbrook at 4 Star Sports Media. You are having a seat at the sports buffet this morning, Wednesday, October 23rd, 2024 edition. We are live right now on YouTube and X. We appreciate everybody watching and listening. Anyone would like to comment on the topics at hand today, we're going to talk burning question to start the show. Then we get to NBA as the season tipped off last night. We go and take a look at some scores and storylines from around the league. After that, we take a little skate around the NFL, or I'm sorry, the NHL, and look at some scores. Look at a team that is just soaring right now in the league. We'll take a quick break, and we come back. We'll talk MLB as we get into a little bit of the World Series that starts up soon. And then following that, we will close out with college football as we talk all things CFB. And we will also be on the coaches show this morning as well. So all that and more today on the Sports Buffet. We appreciate everybody watching and listening. Let's just jump into it. All right, folks, let's go ahead and jump into it. It's time for the burning question of the show. And the burning question of the show is simple. Will the number one team in FBS, FCS, and Division II lose again this week? Could we see it happen 2 weeks in a row? It's very possible. Very possible. We would see it last week as we talked about as Ouachita Baptist would knock off Harding University, an absolute classic in Arkadelphia. And this would be the final call from Rex Nelson in what was an amazing game.
Out at 5, straight drop back. Keelan's in trouble. He throws it, and it's incomplete. It's incomplete. The clock runs out. The students start to bam. Down goes number one. Down goes number one. Painted purple, baby. Oh my gosh, what an amazing crowd, what an amazing team, and what a night to be a Washington.
All that was via the Ouachita Sports Digital Network and Rex Nelson himself. We thank Rex and the Ouachita Network for allowing us to use their coverage throughout the seasons. When you look at that game specifically, that was an amazing game. But the burning question of the show: can we see it 2 weeks in a row? Will it happen again? So that's the burning question of the show. If you want to jump in the comment section, feel free to do so. We'll be answering your questions, answering your, pulling your comments up on the screen as well. So let's start with a little bit of NBA talk as we see the season tip off on Tuesday night, and we would see history be made, albeit for 2 minutes and 41 seconds last night. So we would see in LA, it'll probably be the last time we ever see this, in all honesty, but we'd see a father-son share the floor in an NBA game for the first time, and like I said, perhaps the last. But to duplicate what LeBron and Bronny accomplished, a father must play roughly 2 decades in the NBA, which is extremely rare, as we know. But LeBron's an incredible athlete, has been since he stepped into the league. About 4 minutes left before halftime when Bronny would check into the game against the Timberwolves. Fans would stand, cell phones would go absolutely nuts, and just you couldn't even hear the horn. I mean, the applause just was absolutely erupted. But the Lakers would go on to get the win 110-103 over Minnesota. I mean, like I said, at the time, the score was 52-35 in favor of the Lakers. And he would come on. Come on now, folks. Bronny was the 55th pick in the NBA draft. Like, in all honesty, and this is no shot. In all honesty, we're putting a lot of attention on the 55th pick of the NBA draft. But anyway, there would be a cross court pass from LeBron over to Bronny, and he would miss a 3 pointer. I mean, had that gone in, that would have been pretty cool to see. But there was also another pair of father and son, as Ken Griffey Sr. and Jr. attended the game last night in LA and took a little photo um, with Bron and Bronny before the game. So that was kind of cool. But they became the first, as you know, they became the first father son duo in Major League Baseball who suited up for the Seattle Mariners on August 31st of 1990. Griffey Sr. would say Tuesday after the game, quote, "It was a different situation with me as opposed to LeBron." He said, quote, "Seattle was trying to get rid of me. I had 18 years in the league. Also, I didn't think Junior was going to get called up from the minors. Then the regular first baseman got hurt. They had no one else to play the position but me." He said, "I hit 314 in the spring, so they couldn't get rid of me. And my son set records in spring training. So we became the first father and son." He said, "I didn't think it would happen so quickly," end quote. Very cool though that they came out and they got to witness that moment in the NBA. When you look around the league, and I mean, you look at this game specifically, Anthony Davis, 36 points, 16 rebounds, 3 blocks. I mean, he played well for Team USA, but to do that last night in an opener, I understand it's first game of the year, you should be fresh. I get that, but my goodness, um, big time stuff last night from AD. That's a performance that catches eyes. That's a performance that gets people talking about you for sure. When you look around the league, I mean, we saw numerous other things happen across the league, but one thing is the Boston Celtics last night absolutely went on a tear as they would hoist their NBA championship 18th banner. But my goodness, folks, what they did last night was dang impressive. They led the league in 3 point shooting last year. 47.1% of their shots came behind the arc. On last night, they took 64% of their shots from behind the arc, but they were going in. They tied a record for threes last night in the game with 8:54 left in the fourth. At that point in time, they were 60.4% or 29 of 48 from behind the arc. Jason Tatum was on fire last night for the hometown crowd. 8 of 11 from deep. He had 37 points last night. Tatum would say after the game, quote, "I feel like we just kind of picked up where we left off last year. Quote, we played to our strengths," end quote. But over the last 8.5 minutes of that game last night, the Celtics had 13 tries to break the record, and albeit they missed them all. Even with those misses at the end, they scored more efficiently on Tuesday, 132 points on 91 possessions than any other team did against the Knicks all of last season, including the playoffs. Speaking of the Knicks, though, we would see Julius Randle, and he would struggle a bit last night. He seemed a little bit rusty, I guess, but I mean, he did not look good. He looked lost. He looked disconnected. There wasn't a lot of flow to him. The ball handling and decision making were just abysmal last night for him. But he's got to get this thing right, and he's got to get it figured out pretty quick. Um, you get brought to New York for a reason, so he's got the capability, he's got the talent, but he's got to also play a lot better. Play a lot better because at the end of the day, I mean, Edwards can't do it all. I mean, when you look at the game last night, he took 25 shots for 27 points. The next closest was 11 points. So, I mean, you lose Randall, but if you're the Wolves, you got to get that thing figured out, man. You got to get that thing figured out. Yeah, big time stuff in the NBA though. Fun stuff in the NBA, to be honest with you. But it's just now tipping off, folks. We're just now getting started. Last night was fun. I mean, to look around the league and watch teams play, a lot of fun. Tonight, you've got the Indiana Pacers and the Detroit Pistons tipping off at 6 p.m. Brooklyn Nets and Atlanta Hawks tipping off at 6:30, as well as the Heat and the Magic will also tip off at 6:30. These are all 6:30 slate games. Bucks and 76ers, Cavaliers, Raptors, Houston, Rockets, and Charlotte Hornets, New Orleans Pelicans, and Chicago Bulls at 7 p.m. Memphis Grizzlies head out to Utah, take on the Utah Jazz, tipping off at 8 p.m. 9 p.m. Phoenix and the Clippers over on ESPN. Big time stuff. Big time stuff as it is here. It is here. It is here. Get ready for the season. It's going to be a long one with a lot of storylines as we go. So now let's jump over and talk a little bit of NHL as we saw an incredible night last night of hockey. If you're a hockey fan, yesterday was your day. We would see the Frozen Frenzy take place as nearly 100 goals will be scored during the second edition of the Frozen Frenzy, and Lightning forward Brandon Hagel accounted for 3 of the 98 goals in a span of 6 minutes and 25 seconds. We would see the Minnesota Wild continue their string of success to begin the 2024-2025 season as they accomplished a rare feat in NHL history by not facing a deficit for the 6th straight game to begin the year. We would see the Winnipeg Jets continue to soar over the NHL as they would get a win over the St. Louis Blues last night by a score of 3-2. When you look at the game last night for St. Louis, uh, tough stuff, very tough. I mean, you were down 3-1 in that game. Battle back. You were up 1-0, and then you got down 2-1. At the end of the first period, the Blues were up 1-0. They were outscored 3-0 in the second period. The Blues only scored 1 goal in the third. But if you look at St. Louis, it's got to change. You have to have more offensive firepower. You have to be on the offensive side of the ice more than they were last night. You're not going to win games only being on that side of the ice for 7 minutes, for 8 minutes. It's not going to happen. You're not going to win the game by doing that. And it just, if you look at the Blues, I mean, face-offs were not bad, right? 45%, it's not too bad. If you're St. Louis, but you've got you can't not be in the offensive position of the other team, man. That's what Brendan Saad talked about. Saad talked about it last night. He scored both goals for the Blues. He talked about it last night. I don't know if we're trying to be cute or what, but you've got to be more aggressive in their end of the ice. You've got to put more pressure on their goalie. I mean, when you look at it from a stat perspective, I mean, yes, the Blues did outshoot them 29-24. But when you look at it, besides the first period, the Blues had 11 shots in the first period compared to Winnipeg's 6. Other than that, they were outshot 14-9 in the second period. They came back and outshot them 9-4. Defense locked up and shot them 9-4. But power plays, you got to be better. 0-2 on power plays. Block shots, 21 block shots. Good stuff. Penalty minutes, 4. But yeah, Brendan Saad, big time stuff. I mean, Cole Perfetti does it again. He continues his point streak as he would get 3 points last night, as he would have all 3 of the assists on the night for the Winnipeg Jets. But man, when you look around the NHL, incredible stuff. I mean, the season's just now really getting started. But let's go ahead and take a skate around the league last night and look at some scores. We saw the Washington Capitals knock off the Philadelphia Flyers on the road 4-1. We see the Minnesota Wild, as I said earlier, get a big win on the road over the Florida Panthers 5-1. We see the Tampa Bay Lightning knock off the New Jersey Devils by a score of 8-5. Dallas, who was hot to start the season. Of course, we know it's very early, and we know it's very similar to basketball. You almost kind of go on runs, but we would see Dallas fall on the road 4-2 to the Buffalo Sabres. The Rangers would head up to Montreal and get a win 7-2 over the Canadiens. We'd see the Columbus Blue Jackets host the Toronto Maple Leafs and get a win 6-2. Detroit Red Wings got a big win over the Islanders 1-0. We talked about Blues and Winnipeg Jets as the Blues would fall 3-2. Chicago would take one on the chin at home to the Canucks by a score of 6-3. We would see the Colorado Avalanche continue to play good hockey 3-2 over the Seattle Kraken. The Nashville freaking Predators got a big win yesterday, 4-0 over the Boston Bruins. We would see overtime in a game between Carolina and Edmonton, as Carolina would get the win 3-2 in OT. Ottawa would shut out Utah on the road, Ottawa would go on the road and shut out Utah 4-0. And then we'd see a shootout with Calgary getting the win 4-3 over Pittsburgh in an absolute incredible game. Anaheim and San Jose. I saw a lot of people kind of trashing this game online, but I thoroughly enjoyed this game last night. San Jose would take one on the chin to Anaheim by a score of 3-1. Then we see Vegas knock off the LA Kings by a score of 6-1. When you look at it around the league tonight, only one game tonight, as Washington will take on Philadelphia at 7:30. Then tomorrow night, you got much more action again. You got Dallas taking on Boston. St. Louis takes a trip up to Toronto for their start of their 4-game road swing. Devils head up to Detroit to take on the Red Wings. Minnesota will head to the Lightning. Panthers head to the Rangers. Carolina heads to Calgary. Colorado takes on Utah. Winnipeg takes on Seattle. And then the San Jose Sharks take on the LA Kings. Big time stuff, man. A lot of fun stuff happening right now. All right, let's look at it by the numbers. Okay, there were 16 games last night. It was 98 goals scored in the Frozen Frenzy last night. That's an average of 6.1 goals a game, 958 total shots, 861 total saves. There was one hat trick last night. The first goal was scored by Nick Dowd at 6:14 p.m. Eastern Time. And the final the goal was scored by Ivan Barbashev at 1:36 a.m. Eastern Time. So big time stuff. Like I said, Hagel recorded the 4th fastest hat trick in Lightning history at 6 minutes and 25 seconds. Like I said, Minnesota, man, the Jets' 6-game opening win streak is the 8th instance in the NHL where a Canadian team has posted a run of that length. And then the Wild, as well as the Bruins now, have and the Bruins in 1969 and 70. They're the second team in NHL history to never face a deficit in their first 6 games of the season. The NHL season is here, folks, and it's going to be a lot of fun. All right, folks, let's go ahead and jump over to it. Tell you what, let's take a quick break right quick. We'll take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to get into some MLB talk. and then we'll get into some college football talk as we close up here on the Sports Buffet, presented to you by 4-Star Sports Media. All right, folks, welcome back. Are you needing tickets? If so, check out your screen right there. For those of you listening, it's 4-Star Sports Media. Head over to SeatGeek now. When you do, if you're looking for tickets for, you could be looking for tickets for the upcoming New York Yankees, LA Dodgers World Series that cranks up on Friday night. If you are, head over to SeatGeek now. Find any ticket, $50 or more for that game. Shouldn't be hard. Type in promo code 4-Star Sports Media. When you do, that code will save you $20 off your first ticket purchase. We do the same thing, folks. We love SeatGeek. It's our official seat ticketer supplier here at 4-Star Sports Media. And if you're a ticket seller, SeatGeek has also incredible ways to sell tickets, as there's price guarantees and more. For more, head over to SeatGeek now and tell them that 4-Star Sports Media sent you. So, we appreciate SeatGeek and all they do for us here at 4-Star Sports Media. Big time stuff. MLB is here. We've rode the wave. It's been a long wave. But the World Series is now upon us as the New York Yankees and the LA Dodgers will meet starting Friday night, 7 p.m. Central Time on Fox. Game 1 and 2 will be in LA, with Game 3 obviously being in New York. But man, when you look at this game, who's ready, folks? This is going to be interesting stuff. As you know, you're looking at probably Jack Flaherty for the Dodgers. You're looking at Garrett Cole for the Yankees. Garrett Cole comes in 8-5 in the year, 3.41 ERA in the regular season. Jack Flaherty comes in 13-7, 3.17 ERA during the regular season. When you look at postseason, you look at ERA, Cole has an ERA of 3.31, 19 hits allowed, 12 strikeouts, and 6 walks, compared to Flaherty's 7.04 ERA, 15 hits allowed, 8 strikeouts, and 7 walks. When you look at the bullpen, this is going to be what I think is going to be very, very interesting to take a look at, because the bullpen is going to be, you got 2 lefties, you got Hill and Meza for the Yankees. Then you've got a absolute plethora for right-handers. You only got 1 lefty in the bullpen for the Dodgers. I think this could end up being a factor in this series. You only have 1 lefty in the bullpen. I understand starters are strong for the Dodgers. I get it. But to not have but 1 lefty in your bullpen, I understand they've made it this far. I get that. But man, can Juan Soto continue? There's numerous storylines here, people, but it's October baseball. Everybody is excited for October baseball. It's here. It's going to be a lot of fun. What else has been a lot of fun so far has been this NFL season. When you look around the NFL, and we're going to get more into the MLB on Friday, but when you look at around the NFL, storylines galore. Doesn't matter if the Jets have Robert Saleh or not, evidently, because they still can't win. Now, this game, and they're playing the toilet bowl this week. They're playing a 1-6 New England Patriots team. So we'll see how that goes. But Tua Tagovailoa is back for the Dolphins, or he's cleared, I guess. But he would during his press conference, he was at, and I'm paraphrasing here, folks. But during his press conference, he would be asked about the Guardian cap. With no delay, Tua replied with nope. And then when he asked why, he said personal decision. But he made a statement. He said, I love this game to the death of me. I think you gotta let it happen. I mean, let him play. If it happens again, I think he'll pull the trigger and say, "Hey, I'm done. I'm done playing football." But I mean, that competitive side of him is still there. I think you could very well see Tua become a coach, probably quickly, or a something analyst of some sort. But concussions are serious. CTE is serious. A lot of issues come off of it. A lot of issues. But Miami needs a big win this week as they host Arizona. Miami comes in 2-4. Arizona comes in 3-4. Dallas and San Francisco Sunday night. Cowboys come in 3-3. 49ers come in 3-4. It's going to be an interesting matchup. Can Vegas knock off Kansas City? I mean, history would say no. And like I said the other day with John, Monday, the game I'm looking forward to is the Bears and Commanders. It's going to be a lot of fun there. NFL season's here, folks. Monday night game, Giants and Steelers. I expect the Steelers to roll over the Giants. They look good with Russ. Mike Tomlin is just legendary on the microphone as well. Does an incredible job. What's your thoughts on the NFL season so far? Shoot us a message. Jump in the comment section. What's your thoughts? What's your thoughts? Speaking of thoughts, before we jump over to college football, so there was a big story out of Memphis on Monday, really Monday, I guess, about Tyreek Smith, a 4 or 5, whatever you want to call him, power forward, really. Basketball player at the University of Memphis that reports were from numerous people that he had left the program. According to other report, per his mother, she would say, quote, he could have walked away, but he wanted to play there. We would see Haleon Boogman, the H Boog online. He's his NIL agent, handler, whatever you want to call it. He would go online and set the record straight, saying, quote, promises went unfulfilled in the NIL. Now, really, this came down to, some people say it was down to playing time, as he had a meeting with Penny. Told Penny he wanted to step away for a day, per reports. There's contradictory reports that say he never left. He never left Memphis. He never left the team. He asked for a day away for personal reasons. And then he missed 2 practices. He missed last Friday's practice and he missed Monday's practice. He was at practice yesterday, and we know this because University of Memphis, in kind of a trolling fashion, which I'm down. Put pictures of teammates very excited and smiles everywhere. So per Boog, he received money up front. And then Smith said Smith and his side were expecting more payments that never came. But it really all boils down to the people that were involved in his recruitment and potentially were involved in some promises to him are no longer on the staff, are no longer there. It's what it really boils down to. And I know last week, per reports, he missed study hall and he told the teacher he was sick, was granted permission to miss. This did not sit well with some staff members, per reports. And it I guess, could have created some tension, I guess. Um, his mom would say, had it not been for the study hall thing, this would probably have never happened, come out, whatever. She would also say Tyreek never left the program. His locker was never cleaned out. And it really all boils down to, hey, look, 2 sides just needed to kind of figure some things out. There was some miscommunication, I guess. Per the mother, it was a misunderstanding, miscommunication. She said it was a misunderstanding. Quote, it was a misunderstanding that he was leaving Memphis. So I know there's people out there that reported he left, and I guess technically speaking, I guess you could say he left, but that means that they made it seem like he was gone. And then, that Memphis was picking up players coming up in 2 months. So that's his mama, and that's the guy that handles the money. And the mom has already said, hey, she trusts Boog. So, man, a lot of people went after people, man. I don't understand it. I mean, let's sit back and let everything marinate and let everything transpire before just kind of jumping out there. I don't know. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me to just jump out there like that. But anyway, just want to kind of get that out there. As there was a lot, there's a lot of reports on this stuff. But these are per, the reports that we've looked at too. So, but let's go ahead and jump over to college football as week 9 is upon us. And there is some big time games. And we'll start with the American Athletic Conference as Memphis takes on Charlotte at 11 a.m., as well as Navy takes on the Notre Dame Fighting Irish in a big time matchup as Notre Dame comes in ranked 12th, 11th, whatever, poll you want to look at. Navy comes in ranked 24th. It's on ESPN Plus. Sean McDonough, Greg McElroy, and Molly McGrath will be on the call. They're meeting for the 97th time on the gridiron when the last 2 of them take on each other Saturday afternoon at MetLife Stadium in East Rutherford, New Jersey. Navy is looking for their first 7-0 start since 1978 and just their 5th in program history. Notre Dame does come in having won 5 straight games, which is tied for the longest streak in the country, 13th longest streak in the country. Navy has won 6 consecutive games, which is tied for the 7th in the country. Notre Dame leads the overall series 82-13-1, has won 6 in a row against the midshipmen. The last time Navy would knock them off was a 28-27 win in 2016 down in Jacksonville. Saturday does mark the first time that both teams enter the game ranked in the AP Top 25 since 2019, when number 21 Navy lost to number 16 Notre Dame 52-20 in South Bend. They last beat a ranked Notre Dame team in 2009 when the midshipmen would stun Notre Dame 23-21 in South Bend. 269 points for Navy in the first 6 games of the year are 57 more than it scored in all 12 games last year. They scored 212 last year. By the way, Navy was picked 11th in the preseason poll. They're currently in second place, including a win over Memphis. They're 23 for 23 in the red zone this year, with 22 of those resulting in touchdowns. The first 20 red zone trips resulted in touchdowns before they kicked a field goal last week against Charlotte. That's a big-time ball game, folks. That's a big-time ball game, and I give me Navy. I'll say it now. It's fine. Give me Navy to get the win. Give me Navy to get the win. So East Carolina, of course, we know they let their head coach go, Mike Houston. We've talked about it fairly extensively, I guess. But can they get a win over the 2-5 Temple Owls? It's homecoming. They're 55-13 at home on homecoming. Since 2014, they're 6-3. They've won the last 3. Big time stuff. This is a game that I think is very, very interesting. Blake Harrell was named the interim head coach on October 20th, and he leads them as a defensive coordinator. I know you listened to previous shows. John Sturman said, "Hey, don't hire a defensive coach," but I won't say that too loud. He was at Kennesaw State in 2019. But no, good stuff, man. East Carolina, the Pirates are looking to get a win. They need a win. They're desperately needing a win against the Temple Owls. If they do, they'll be 4-4, 2-2 in conference play, and they host Florida Atlantic before they hit the road to at Tulsa, and then at North Texas, and then they come home and play Navy to close out the year on the 29th. When you look at the Owls, 2-5, 1-2 in conference play. The only win came last week against Tulsa, 20-10. They're at East Carolina this week, then they travel to Tulane next week. Then they play Florida Atlantic home at UTSA, and then host North Texas to close out the year. So in the last meeting between these two teams, East Carolina would get the win 49-46 over the Owls. Who would have thought in preseason that the LSU Texas A&M matchup would be as big as it is? Here we go, folks. Number 7, Tigers. Number 14, Aggies. Texas A&M comes away with a 34-24 win over a pretty stingy Mississippi State football team last week. LSU came into Fayetteville and pretty much whooped the Hogs, 34-10. Big time win for the LSU Tigers. LSU and Texas A&M have traded outcomes, with the home team coming out victorious in each of the last 7 meetings. The Aggies took down the number 10 Tigers 38-23 the last time they came to Kyle Field back in 2022. When you look at Texas A&M, they have one of the best rushing offenses in the nation, ranking 13th with 218.6 yards a game, with the SEC best 5.4 yards per carry. It's also 20th best in the country. We would see Connor Weigman return after returning week 6, with getting the big victory over top 10 Missouri. He was 18 to 22 passing for a season best 276 on the year. He continues to climb the record books as well, as he is in need of 3 touchdown passes to crack the top 15 all time, entering the game with 19 career scoring strikes. 102,000 people will be packed into Kyle Field. And this is a game, when you look at it on a SEC standing standpoint, Texas A&M is number 1. LSU is number 2. They're the only 2 teams that have not suffered a loss in conference play. So that's going to be gone this week. Both teams come in 6-1. Right now, you're looking at 6 teams in the conference sitting at 6-1. If you're Auburn and you're Mississippi State sitting at the bottom down there at 0-4, Auburn travels to Kentucky this week. Arkansas travels to Mississippi State. Should be very, very interesting. Missouri, Alabama. Will Missouri knock off Alabama at 2:30 on ABC? Could we see it happen? Speaking of things, could we see? I have to be honest with you. I feel bad for Vanderbilt because they're going to see a Texas team that has to come in pissed off after what Georgia did to them last week, as the Bulldogs would put a whooping on them at home, 30-15. But you look around the country of college football, there's storylines everywhere. We've now seen coaches become starting to be let go. Who could be next? We talked about it a little bit on Monday. I think there's numerous teams that we could see pop up. Billy Napier's seat's a little bit cooler today. Does it remain that way? Does Mike Norvell's seat get a little bit hotter? It could. It very well could. We see Louisiana Tech knock off UTEP 14-10, as the Miners would come away with 251 total yards of offense, 85 through the air, 166 on the ground, and hold Tech to 255 total, 248 through the air, and 7 on the ground. Now, a lot of that would come from the quarterback having negative 15 yards rushing on the day. That UTEP team, Coach Scotty Walden, came from Austin Peay. Incredible football coach, really smart offensively. And this team is slowly starting to show signs that things are happening for them. You look at the quarterback, 8 of 14, 84 yards through the air, 1 touchdown on the day. Rushing the ball, though, 22 carries for Javon Jackson on the day for 112 yards, along with 22. It's an average of 5.1 yards. The carry, his first rush of the day was for 12 yards. He would hit that 22-yarder on a 4th-and-1 play with 4 minutes and 55 seconds to go in the 4th, and a big-time play to keep that drive going. But yeah, 112 yards on the day for him. We would see my guy, this guy right here, man. We would see Loxlear get hurt, right? And then we would see J.P. Pickle come into the game. But it's not what he did through the air that really impressed me. This kid had 12 rushes for 53 yards. First rush was on a 4th and 3. He would pick up 5 yards on 4th and 3 for a first down. Then he would pick it up again. I'm sorry, that was the second quarter he came in. But then in the fourth quarter, he would get a big rush for 9 yards for a first down. But yeah, Pickles, man, I like this kid. Anybody that watched this game, this kid's impressive. He's a freshman. He's going to be a lot of fun to watch for the Miners, and he's going to be a team to keep an eye out for. And let's also not forget, I mean, the Miners are a team that is going to be on the move. So we got to keep an eye out for that too, as they could very well be heading out to the West Coast. Yeah, we got UConn. As far as independents are concerned, we got UConn taking on Rice. Go back and listen to what Jim Mora said last week after a Wake Forest loss. I mean, I'm not going to play it on there, but go back and take a listen to it because you will not be disappointed for sure. No, college football is going on all around the country. There's games everywhere. There's big games in the SEC. There's big games in the ACC. There's big games everywhere. It's going to be a lot of fun. Miami, Florida State. I really expect Miami to pour it on Florida State. I really do. Especially after last year, how Florida State beat them. I fully expect Miami to pour it on Florida State. And I think that's a coach that earlier in the year, I mean, 63 million is a lot of money, folks. A lot of moolah. But if you're you're looking at 1-7 if you're Mike Norvell. I mean, that's historically bad. It's already historically bad. But it's historically bad now. And then you go down and you take on you're playing Miami and they lead the all-time series 35-33. Now, games played in Miami, Florida State holds the edge 21-18. They've won three, Florida State being they've won three matchups in a row and are 13-7 in the series since Miami joined the ACC prior to the 2004 season. But Mike Norvell, his fifth season at the helm, very interesting. Very, very, very interesting. 13-1. He's been at Florida State 5 years. He went 3-6 in 2020. I really don't even look at that season. 5 in second, 7 in the second year. 10-3, 13-1 as we know last year, and 1-6 overall as a head coach in his eighth season. Through 8 seasons, he is currently 70-38, and he's won one bowl game. That's the Cheez It Bowl. I think he could very well be on the hot seat, or his seat's getting warm. I understand $63 million, but I just don't know. I just don't know how much longer this is allowed to go on. I mean, they got rid of Willie Taggart pretty daggum fast. So, very interesting stuff. Sound off in the comments. Burning question of the show. Like I said, burning question of the show. At the very beginning, feel free to comment. Will the number one team fall 2 weeks in a row in college football? That's the burning question of the show. You've been sitting down at the Sports Buffet, presented to you by 4-Star Sports Media. And always, like I said, folks, earlier in the show, if you need tickets, head over to SeatGeek now. When you do, type in promo code 4-Star Sports Media. Any ticket, $50 or more, and we will save you $20 off that ticket purchase. If you don't believe us, it's guaranteed to work. Go try it for yourself. We use SeatGeek. We want you to as well. And there's a lot of games there's NBA games now. You can go get you some SeatGeek tickets. Looking for Grizzly tickets, folks in Memphis? Get you some. Hey, speaking of tickets, speaking of Memphis, since Memphis is now heading to their 11th straight bowl game, the only group of 5 team to do that, and one of only, I think, 6 or 7 teams in the country to do that. Tickets for this upcoming game against Charlotte are for $11. So get out there and get your tickets. Call the University of Memphis, get them, and if not, go to SeatGeek. They got some good tickets on there as well. Big time stuff. Arkansas Razorbacks basketball team takes on Kansas in an exhibition that everyone is exciting for. It's an exhibition. I don't really understand the excitement, but anyway. Yeah, big time stuff, man. Appreciate everybody tuning in, watching, and listening. As always, we do this for you guys. If you enjoy it, feel free to share it. Feel free to like, comment, and more. For all of us at 4 Star Sports Media, I'm Wes Pruitt, and we appreciate you watching. As always, stay classy.